Greetings! I'm Epictetus, and this is Epic Tech, and welcome to a brand new game called Dual Universe. In this video, we're going to be talking about the first impressions of Dual Universe, and then my second impressions, and then my third impressions, because my thought of this game has actually changed quite a bit since it was first announced back in 2016. Yes, 4 years ago. They announced their Kickstarter and showed off what they had planned to do. Now, I should start off by saying, Nova Quark, thank you very much for providing access to this game. Yes, I was given access to this game by the developers, and I very much appreciate it. I will also be providing a link in the description below to go purchase the game, and I will get a kickback if you buy it through that link. Only do that if you want to. It's just a way for fans of the channel to help me out. Also, even though I'm getting a kickback, even though I got the game for free, I am not holding back anything in my view of this game. I will be telling you exactly what I think, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's very important to me that people know that I am not being swayed in that way and that you know all the facts. So, back to my impressions. Now, initially, I saw when this was announced 4 years ago in 2016, and I have to admit, I looked at that and I went, wow, that would be an amazing game if they could pull it off. And I didn't think they could do it. I was discussing it with friends and whatnot when the game was first announced, and they were very excited, and I said, don't get too excited. I don't think they can pull it off. I really don't. And they certainly can't do it in the timeline that they had originally planned, and they didn't. They originally said that they would have their first alpha out in 2017, their first beta out in 2018, and then at the end of 2018, they would have an official release. As a matter of fact, if you go to their Kickstarter page, it still says that as of this recording. It still says end of 2018. In the frequently asked questions, it's right there. Last updated September 15th, 2016. Now, if you go when you're watching this video, it might have changed. I think they kind of forgot that that was still there on the Kickstarter. And here we are in 2020, and they're releasing the beta. So they are a good 2.5 years late from their original plans, because honestly, what they're trying to do is difficult. They're trying to cram a lot of things into a game, and even now in the beta, they don't quite have it. Now, my first impression was they can't do it. Then, about a month ago, I was contacted by some representatives of the company as a YouTuber and asked if I wanted early access and asked if I wanted to kind of see some behind the scenes and get access to the game, because they're looking obviously for publicity. And of course I was interested. First of all, I didn't think that was ever going to happen. I mean, 4 years had gone by. And so I popped into the game when I first got access, which, by the way, was the day before it went to public. So the early access was pretty short. And I started wandering around, and I did the tutorials, and I started building, and I gotta say, I was impressed. It was amazing, and it was solid as a rock. It was well put together. It ran smooth as butter. Beautiful. Then the beta opened to the public, and they weren't ready. The servers, oh, the poor servers. Disconnections, long queue times to get into the game, sitting around waiting for pending operation errors as you try to dig through the earth. It was awful. But now it's been a couple of weeks, and I gotta hand it to the developers and whoever's managing their servers. They have kicked it up a notch, and it's now to the point where I feel like I can show it off. I'll still give you the bad. There are still some bugs. It is early in their beta cycle, but there's a lot of good to this game and a lot of potential. So, without further ado, I've been jabbering on for a while. Let's actually take a look at what this game is like. So I am currently standing on top of the very first little building this gray one here that I built in this game, and it's part of the tutorial. If you walk through the tutorial, and I do highly recommend actually walking through the tutorial. A lot of games you can skip right past it. You already know how to WASD, right? But this game gets into a lot more details. It is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the casual gamer. This is something where you're going to want to step through the tutorial, and then there are a series of optional tutorials after the introduction tutorial, and I highly recommend going at least through the ones that you find interesting. There's a lot to this game. So in the initial tutorial, you eventually find yourself on a moon called Sanctuary. And this is said moon. And this is my property. If we go into the map, you can see that the system is made up of a whole bunch of planets. And in the middle of all these planets is Alioth, which is the very first planet that you will start off on. It is surrounded by 3 moons. One of them is called the Sanctuary Moon. And the Sanctuary Moon is special because everybody gets a free claim unit to claim a part of the Sanctuary Moon. And I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do soon. I really kind of think that they might not have been expecting the amount of interest in this game, the amount of people that they're going to be playing. They have provided this one Sanctuary Moon, and in a couple of weeks, they've already used, you can kind of see these red areas. These are all claims. People have claimed all of these locations. And it's not going to be too much longer. I mean, at the rate that they're currently going at, in a few months, they're going to run out of room on Sanctuary Moon. So are they going to open up another moon? I would hope so. I think that's probably what they're going to do. One way or another, I have claimed this point right here. And if I hit V on my keyboard, you can see the edges of my claim. And it is a large. I mean, you can't even see. Like, it takes quite a while just to get to my closest border. Which, by the way, for those who are fans of the channel, Cosmic Chimp is right over there in that pile of dirt there. He owns the entire tile to the south of me, and Commander Kitten owns the tile to the north of me. And I've got some other friends nearby, and some people I've never met before, which is kind of cool. That's one nice thing about this. This is an MMO. It's a massive multiplayer online game, and when you set down on this planet, you are on the planet with a bunch of other people on the internet, which is why it's important to have a claim on a planet that is protected, because on other planets somebody could come in and destroy your base. Now, I've heard that a lot of those features are not quite in yet. I am not a big battle guy. I don't get into fighting other people and that kind of thing. I get more into crafting and building, and that's more of what I'm going to be showing you in this video, because these are my impressions. Go out onto YouTube and you can find other people's impressions of what space combat is like. I have literally never been in space in this game. I went straight from the main planet via the shuttle provided to the Sanctuary Moon. I set up my base here and I've barely left it. I go to the market every once in a while, and that's it. There is a player-driven market, which is very cool. There's a lot to this game. There are a lot of things going on, and I am not going to be able to show you all of them. I do plan on doing a series of tutorials. I want you to let me know if there's any tutorials specifically you want me to make. I can tell you combat is not going to be one of them. Making a combat ship might be. Shipbuilding is a whole thing in this game, and we're going to get to that in a minute. First, I just want to give you a little bit of a tour of kind of what can be done in a very short amount of time with very little understanding of this world and this game. This right here is the home that I made during the tutorial, and it's pretty basic. There's not much to it. I put in a detector up there, which automatically detects me and opens my door. That was a very simple thing to do. As a matter of fact, if I hit the B key, we can go into build mode. And if I hit number 6, we can see that there is simply a line from here to the door. That's all there is to setting up a detector to open up a door. So it can be very simple to create certain things. But it goes from there to becoming very complicated. For example, crafting in this game is not at all what you would expect. If you're used to Minecraft, Space Engineers, Empyrean, etc., then you might be used to the concept of kind of building up your crafting level. In each one of those, you start off with a basic crafting machine, and then you upgrade, and then you might have to add other kinds of things onto that. You know, maybe you don't just need a furnace, you need a crafting table, you need an advanced crafting machine, whatnot. This game takes that to a whole new level. These over here are assemblers. This is an extra small assembler, a small assembler, medium and large, and there's actually one more size above this called extra large, which I have never owned. I don't know if I ever will. Actually, I'm sure I will. But for right now, these are what I have. These make end products. Now, end products meaning the actual things that you might place down. So a container can be made in one of these assemblers. Different size containers are made in different size assembly lines. However, the individual parts that go into making those are made in other machines. For example, these are metalwork machines. Now, luckily, the game expects you to be a little confused. So if you hit H while pointing at anything, it will tell you a little bit about it. So this is a metalwork industry. Most of them are called industries, but not all of them. And it will make metal kinds of things. This is an electronics industry. This is a 3D printer. Over here we've got chemical industry and a glass furnace. There's one that's not called an industry. And then these guys up here are refiners. Those will take your initial ore and turn it into like ingots. And then these are smelters, which will take different types of pure forms of the metals and put them together to make new in-between products. So steel is a combination of iron and carbon. Pretty common for a crafting game. You need all of these things to make the larger items in the game. Smaller items, you have a built-in nanocrafter. So you can make basic things in your own suit, but you very quickly hit the top of that. All of these things then need to be connected through one means or another. And I'm about to do the same thing I did over there to show you the connector between the detector and the door, but you're going to see just how complicated this can get. And as you can imagine, it gets even more complicated when you have larger and larger factories. The purple lines are all for transferring items. The blue lines are what are called signal lines. That's what we used over for the detector and the door. And then there are green lines, which are called control lines. And those connect between programmable blocks, or rather programming boards, and the various things that they can program. You might have noticed that I have a sign up here that is telling me the status of my current machines. So these 4 refineries, 3 of them are pending and 1 is jammed. And that top one up there is the one that's jammed because it is out of limestone. It's okay. This is why I have this. I want to know when I run out of something. But I wrote this program. And if we get into here, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there's a bunch of little code in here to find the information and place it on that screen. So, My third impression, I kind of already told you my first and second impressions. My third impression of this game really changed my mind about what an MMO crafting game can be. Because when I stepped in and started realizing that the crafting and the manufacturing and this part of the game, which is always my favorite part, when I realized how complicated it was and what you need to do it, I was thinking to myself, well, a lot of players aren't capable of doing this kind of thing or don't want to do this kind of thing. And it dawned on me, that is intentional. Because if I open up the market and I start looking through things, for example, there are tons of things in here, by the way. These are the different kinds of wings, specifically just wings. There are, I'm pretty sure, thousands of items. And if I click on one of these, I can see what markets are selling these for what, where. If I wanted to start building small wings and selling them, you can see that there are people that are willing to buy them. There's also some bots that are willing to buy them just to kind of kickstart the economy. But if I wanted to, I could sell them for $2,800, $2,900 each. Or I can put them on the market and hopefully somebody will come by and buy them for $11,000, $12,000, $15,000. But one of the great things about this, one of the brilliant things about this design is that means that if you want to build ships, you don't need a factory. You just need to be able to buy this. Then you sell your ships, and the money you make from selling the ships allows you to buy more parts. Or if I want to build wings, I don't have to be the one that uses the wings. It's like the real world economy. Buy and sell in your piece. And even better yet, you want to buy from one of these people that posted, you have to actually go to this market. And so if I pick one that's a good price, if I happen to be near Sanctuary 1, great, I can pick that up and away I go. But if the best price is far away, I'm going to have to either make the trip, or perhaps someday someone can actually be hired to transport things from place to place. This game is designed to be an MMO. There were a lot of questions early on when this game was originally announced of, can I have a private server? Will there be offline mode? Single player mode? And the answer was always no. And after playing this, I now understand why. And I understand why that is so important. Because such a huge portion of this game is dependent on other people. And I love it. I absolutely love that. By the way, this is my vehicle. It was originally purchased from a shop near my market. And then I crafted some wings and slapped them to the side, and I stuck some extra parts on it, and it's it flies okay. But I quickly discovered that a flying vehicle is not as simple in this game as it is in other games, which is why you can actually make money by selling blueprints. Well, you will be able to make money by selling blueprints. Currently, that feature is not fully fleshed out, but it will be available soon. If I pop into build mode for this ship, by the way, there is a whole thing up here called the build helper, where you can go in and dig in and look at the various bits of information about your ship to find out how it is supposed to function. And yeah, where is this? There is a button in here. For example, if I click on this inertia matrix, this tells me how well my ship rotates. And I just watched a whole video on understanding these numbers. It's crazy how detailed it is about this ship, about the flight mechanics in this game. Wind resistance, thrust, force, all these kinds of things all matter. and then you put something in your cargo boxes and start trying to fly with it, and it's a whole different ball of wax. If you are interested in building ships, this game would be an excellent choice. Across the field over here, I have my larger workshop. Let's take a look inside. So this is where I'm moving to. I've got each one of my assembly units. The extra large is again missing, though I haven't found anything that necessarily needs an extra large. And I'm doubling up, and I'm actually going to be putting in more of each thing. But this isn't quite done yet. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got my storage down here, and plenty of room to expand there as well. Clearly, I have been putting a lot of hours into this game, probably far more than I should be putting into a video game, but it's too much fun. I am absolutely loving it. And as of the last few days, it's been pretty stable. Like I said, the first few weeks were rough, and there's still some pretty glaring bugs. So if you are the kind of person that isn't annoyed by bugs and the occasional downtime, grab the game. If those kinds of things drive you bonkers, give it some time. By the way, this is being recorded in September of 2020, so if you're watching this in 2021 or whatnot, then you might consider looking at something more up to date. But either way, if you're going to wait, if you're going to jump into the game right away, I do appreciate it if you use that link down in the description and help me out. It's just free money for me. And if you like my kind of content, I really do appreciate it. It helps me keep the channel going. And if you are interested in any tutorials on this game, by all means, put them in the comments down below, or hop on my Discord server and put it into the video feedback channel, and I will consider it. I want to do content on this game because, good grief, I'm having too much fun with it. That's about all I can think of. I'm sure there are things I forgot, and honestly, I am barely starting out. I am barely just learning the beginnings of this game after a couple of weeks of far too much gameplay. It's so in-depth. There's so much to it. I didn't even talk about mining. I didn't talk about mining at all. You see this? This is a hole for mining. I have mined out large portions of my property to get what I have made. There's still plenty more down there. The mining in this game is some of the best mining I have run across in the whole of all of my gameplays of all the different games I've done. It's fun. The mining in this game is fun. And yeah, that's all I can say about it. I don't want to get into all the details of how to mine or how to build or how to all that kind of stuff, because just talking about my impressions is long enough. So if you want to see more details about things, please put your suggestions down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time on Epic Tech.